everyone. Welcome back to another video here. We are in the cove here. We are heading back to an area known as Oreminea, and this was an area that was once the Springfield mines, and they would mine iron ore rock, and then later on they would eventually mine sand and then some clay. So we're going to go explore Oreminea, some of the ore pits, and show you some of this cool history. Okay, here's a map from around 1876 of present-day site of Oreminea, which at the time it was called Springfield Mines. 1815 till 1884, the Springfield furnace, owned by the Royers, would take iron ore from these locations down to the furnace, and they would make pig iron by taking the iron ore out of the ground, and they would smelt it down at the furnace. This site had such good quality iron ore that they would send it out by rail car and onto the Springfield branch, and they would send it out to different furnaces around Pennsylvania and locally that could use the iron ore. So this are the main sites where they mine the iron ore rock. So we're talking about 1815 to 1884, and then Cambria Iron Company would buy these mines and continue selling iron up until the early 1900s. And after the early 1900s, this whole property extending this way would get into clay mining, and up until about 1960. So we'll start the video off understanding the Springfield mines and the iron mining first. The Springfield iron mines were started by the Royer family. Here is Samuel Royer. He is second generation that ran the Springfield furnace in the village of Royer. The Royer family were true masterclass in the iron industry. Here is Springfield Furnace, owned and operated by the Royer family. This is an amazing picture of an old school charcoal blast iron furnace. Springfield Furnace operated from 1815 till 1884. They got their iron directly from the Springfield mines, not far from the furnace. Today, the ruins of Springfield Furnace can be seen on Royer Mountain Road. With just the ruins, it's hard to imagine that this site was incredibly industrial during the 1800s, producing some of the best quality pig iron all in Blair County. Here is the Royer Mansion, the home of the Royers. A beautiful historic site today. So this was a little bit of history about the Royer family. Now let's go check out the Springfield mines that were owned and operated by the Royers. I hope you enjoyed the video, and let's learn a little bit about this amazing history. Thank you. Down here, the Springfield branch ran out to Williamsburg, but the railroad came up here, made a big U, and came up here. Here's the old rail bed, and then it went through this way. You can actually see the flat area. Wrap up here, and then it'd wrap up into Oreminea, up into the mine area. We are going back to Springfield Mines, the earliest mining in Oreminea. This area was mined for the Royers. This would have been mined out from iron ore for the Royers that owned Springfield Furnace. See these big drop-offs? We are above some iron mines here. Okay.
That's the hubby guts, what we call that down there.
The hubby guts. Here in this old geology book, it talks about all the iron mines in the cove, and this is an amazing book. And right here, the Springfield mines are among the most extensive open mines on brown hematite iron ore to be found in the country. That's a big statement back then. Brown hematite was the common iron ore in our area. It's shown here that there were three great open mines. Mine number one, known as the Davis Mine, mine number two, or the Likens Mine, and mine number three. They also said there was many underground mine shafts at each of these large mining sites. It even talks about some of the equipment they use for the ore washers at each site, and it talks about how much ore they took out per day. But this book is incredible, and it shows a lot of the different mine information with the iron ore. Here's some more information about the Springfield mines, and has some geology reports, different outcrops of different iron. It talks about what they were pulling out of, about some of the mines and the iron mine shafts, how far they went down, what kind of ore they got out of there. Just an incredible book, and I really enjoy reading it. Kind of takes you back into history. Very extensive reporting on this site was done. Okay, we're walking back into Oreminea and Springfield mines, and if you notice, there's some cuts through here. A lot of activity right here, some trenching, and you can see these little dips. They were digging iron ore in these cuts here. They were finding iron ore all over the area. And you can see mounds of spoils from the digging. We'll just keep going up here and checking out some of these other mines. Here's some spots they were mining out iron ore.
We walked down to here.
Okay. From Rick's place.
Yep, we'll look down over there.
And here's some iron mining sites right here. There's a nice little cut. And there's mounted out here, so then you see some iron ore just all over the place. Brown hematite. They said that the supply of iron ore was so incredible that this could have been mined for many more years. All right, we'll walk around and check out the big ore hole over here. Here's a good example of iron ore in this little cut here. You can just see it under the ground. It's underlaid with a sandy clay. Like a sand and clay. And there'd be layers of this iron ore all through here. And they would just dig down and get it. So, huge deposit of iron ore.
Now, if memory serves me right, one of these things actually had like a limestone ledge in it.
Okay.
And that's the one, you look at the side of this hill.
Yeah.
It's all iron ore.
Wow.
And it actually had, where the water come out, it's coming out of like limestone.
Wow. So this looks like it might have been a loading spot where they pulled it out of here. Right down there. Oh, doesn't it? Yeah. It's running.
Yeah. Well, there's enough water coming in to keep ice from forming.
Lots of iron ore.
Right.
Maybe they offloaded it here or something. It's all piled up.
Or there was too much dirt in it, they pushed it off to
Yeah.
get to the seam.
Wow.
But this looks like...
Okay, this is a large open cut mine. Springfield Mines. This is one of their main ore holes. And you can see they hit water. But we're standing on an island of iron ore rock. And go down here. Here's the clay that the iron ore is underlaid in. Wonder how deep this is here. You can see how big the hillsides up around it. But yeah, this Springfield Mines operated from 1815 till probably around 1884 when Springfield Furnace closed down, and the Royers owned these mines. And they would also sell iron ore out of this mine to the Juniata Furnace in Williamsburg, as well as many other iron furnaces locally. I mean, the Royers owned this ground, and they could mine it, use it at their own furnace, but also sell the iron ore to other furnaces. And that's a good reason why the Royers were so successful during the iron industry. And later, this area was so so well desired that Cambria Iron would have bought this property, and they would have continued mining it up until the early 1900s. Even after all the iron furnaces in Blair County were gone, they would send this iron ore to Pittsburgh and other areas where they could use the iron ore outside of Blair County. You can see the entry point where they actually made a tramway down to the ore pit. So they would have had a dinky line that would have ran through there. And the iron ore washers were straight down through that way. So they would use a network of dinky tracks to run down to the iron ore washer, which the iron ore washer is very close here, making it very convenient to take the mined iron ore and wash it and put it right on the railroad. It's hard to tell with all the brush, but you see a lot of spoil piles here. And in my geological book, there was underground mine shafts. There's quite a few around here too, where they went underground and did some tunneling. And they're all around here. It's hard to tell with all the brush. So they were also going underground as well as above ground.
It's hanging down close to water.
Yeah.
Right where, if you look across the land, that's where the spring comes up out. It feeds this.
Feeds this. So when they were mining, they hit a spring here.
Yeah.
And they were probably pumping it out to get the water to go out.
Yeah.
Nice little spot for a hornet's nest.
Yeah, when you come down here in hot water, you're going to drive through the water to get where we're.
Oh, wow. Look at this natural seam of iron ore that's just here. This is all just laid in here. Endless supplies.
See how they're hollow?
Yeah.
When you have a whole one and you threw it down and broke it, this was all white sand.
Wow.
See, that's how they were. They called them bomb.
Wow.
The road used to go to your left.
Okay.
Probably been 30 years, 50 years on this road.
Here's another large mining site here at Springfield Mines, Oreminea, and they would have mined iron ore here as well. Pretty big cut in here, and you can see some cuts over there too in the woods. But yeah, this would have been a large cut where they were getting iron ore. And the farther that way you go, it turns into more sand, or sorry, more clay. And they started mining a lot of clay. So a lot of the iron ore was on this side of Oreminea, and going this way, heading that way was more clay. So we're probably about the line of where the iron ore was mined.
Dug down there, there's a tunnel goes under that road and joins the last pond we were at.
Where they were mining iron ore.
Yeah. Now this pond is substantially higher than that one.
As far as the level of water.
Well, the water level here is probably 25, 30 feet higher than there. So whatever structure was under the road is closed off by now.
So they tunneled underneath that road.
Tunneled under the road, and they called this the tunnel.
Okay.
That's what they called this hole.
Okay. They were obviously mining something here. Clay, iron ore. Okay. Found this little structure here. It looks, not sure what it was, like an old fireplace or something.
I don't ever remember there being a building here.
It's mortared.
Yep. But I never seen a fireplace made like that. You know what it could be?
What's that?
It could be the top of a hand-dug well.
That's true.
Because there's a piece missing.
Oh, wow. Very true. You know what I mean? Maybe there was a house down here or something, or a well for something.
There was no natural water up here.
Okay.
Everything you got, you either hauled in, had cisterns, or dug for it.
Or you hit it when you were mining.
Yeah, hit it.
Okay, so in Oreminea, go on that side towards the Ridge Road. A lot of the Springfield mines are that way, where they had the iron ore. And they tunneled underneath the road over here. And the last outcropping or vein of iron ore that was extensively mined, it stopped somewhere around here. And then pretty much they would just run into very good clay and sand that was mined by the Woodbury Clay Company all around Oreminea on the other side. So this is probably the furthest point where they were doing extensive mining. Now they did find iron ore around the pits where they were mining clay that they would do separate underground mining for, but Springfield mines kind of mined over to here. Okay, we're down here in Oreminea, and we have a nice flat area here. It's kind of a wetland, there's a lot of, you can tell there's a pond down here at some times of the year, a little bit wet, and this is a nice flat spot here. And against that bank, right in here is kind of where we believe the iron ore washer sat for Springfield mines. And they would have had a big washer here, and they would have had a lot of buildings in this flat spot here, and this would have been the central location for their ore washer. And there's a pipe that ran up through here all the way from Piney Creek down by Springfield Furnace, and they would run water from the creek all the way up here to wash the iron ore. Back in these hills all around here is the Springfield mines. There's at least 15 or 20 mining sites that we'll go check out now that they would get their iron ore from, and they would bring it right here to the washer, where they would clean it and put it on the railroad and send it out to furnaces. This iron ore washer was started by the Royers and eventually bought by the Cambria Iron Company that would sell iron ore to all across Pennsylvania and local furnaces. What's amazing is just seeing evidence of the iron ore site. Look at that pile of iron ore rock there. It's obviously down in this wetland. And here's a bunch of iron ore rock just waiting to be washed, or was washed. Looks like it was washed right here. And this would have been a loading spot where the iron ore would have been loaded onto the railroad. This is all clean iron. I mean, there's probably 10,000 tons of iron right here. Amazing, beautiful brown hematite. Look at all that iron. And this is the main ingredient that they mined here to send to the blast furnaces. So this is no doubt the site of Springfield mines and the site of the ore washer that sat right here. And it would make sense. There's a lot of lowlands in here, and the washer would have sat right here. Beautiful brown hematite, freshly washed, and you can see all the iron in it. This is a main commodity needed for the iron ore washer, or to go in an iron furnace. And they'd smelt it down and make pig iron. This is a huge commodity back in the 1800s. One more look at the iron ore pile here at the former Springfield mines. All this quality iron ore was mined locally here, sent out to railroads, on railroad to the Juniata Furnace in Williamsburg. Also Springfield Furnace right down here in Royer, and as well as many local furnaces in our area. Time frame 1815 to about 1884. You're looking at the first mining site of Oreminea. It all started out with this commodity as iron ore, and then they would move to sand and clay further that way. So Oreminea really had about 3 different commodities they were mining: iron ore, clay, sand. Here's an incredible picture of the ore washers at Springfield Mines. If you notice the large piles of iron ore rock in the center of the picture, that's what we were looking at. This amazing time was very industrial, and lots of heavy equipment, tram roads, dinky lines, and they would pull the iron ore into the washers to be crushed and washed and sent by railroad. Check out these amazing pictures of iron ore left behind. If this could tell you a story, it's just about the end of the industrial age here in the Cove. Tons of iron ore rock left behind that could have been smelted. Okay, after the iron industry, we switched to clay mining at Oreminea. This period of time was early 1900s till about 1960. The Woodbury Clay Company would take over the property and they would mine this precious clay. This incredible silica white clay was very valuable during the height of the Industrial Revolution. This clay would make refractory bricks used to wrap the inside of blast furnaces. Oreminea would become heavily mined for this precious clay. Take a moment to enjoy these incredible pictures of Oreminea. Back the old rail bed. Okay, we're in Oreminea here, and we're close to the mining area, and you can see piles of spoils around the site. And we are on a right-of-way right now. This is a private property, but there's an old cistern here and a foundation where they had a steam pump for some of the machinery or the equipment that was back here, but you can see lots of spoil piles around it, so we're getting close to the mining site. Right down in here is a dinky track, and we're kind of following along where the dinkies would come into the mines to take the clay out of the mines, back in that cut there. So the dinky tracks were the main point of transportation with the raw materials in and out of the mines. Okay, notice this little cut right here. This is an old dinky line that goes down into this mine down here. We're going to enter down into a clay mine, and this area was all mined out by the Woodbury Clay Company, and they took this really nice clay out of this area, and they used it to make refractory bricks. The clay had a lot of silica in it, and during this time frame, refractoring brick was very critical for the steel industry. They made bricks and to wrap the inside of furnaces. So you can see this big cut right here. So we are in a small mining site right here. We'll go check it out. Inside this clay mine, they would run into iron ore. And if you notice, here's a hole here. And over here is another hole with water coming out of it. So this might have been an old mine shaft, by the way it looks here. There could have been a deep mine, and it would go straight down, and they would go down into the seam of iron ore, and then it would run vertically. So this could have been a mine that for iron ore. At the time when they were mining the clay, they were also mining iron ore at the same time. So during the early 1900s, they were using both in the steel industry. This is the big cut. This is the main area in Oreminea where they were digging their precious white clay. This area today is on private property, but it is a beautiful blue hole, an old mining site filled in with water. They took hundreds of thousands of tons of clay out of here for the refractory business. This was where all the activity was going on in Oreminea. In 1940, 5 miners were mining iron ore underground at this big, large open cut. While miners were above ground mining clay, there was still underground iron mining going on at this site. 5 miners were underground mining the iron ore when the miners struck an artesian well, flooding the site instantly. The miners' bodies were never covered as they drowned inside the mine shaft. The water started coming out of the underground mines. The miners working above the underground mine site seen the water rushing out of the mine. They realized they needed to get out of there. The miners abandoned their equipment, leaving their equipment behind in the flooding waters. Sadly, the sacrifices of these 5 miners will remain trapped underneath the water in the mine shaft. Sadly, they were never recovered. Let's try to remember the hard work and sacrifices these men did in the early days of the Cove during the Industrial Revolution. Really appreciate you watching this video on Oreminea. I really enjoy industrial history in the Cove here, and I think it's really important to preserve it and remember it. So thanks again for helping me keep this history alive, and I really hope you enjoyed the history.